Today, Rinpoche explained Chandrakirti's entrance to the middle way. We've now entered into the 6th chapter, where we find that things do not arise from self, other, a combination of both, or causeless. Kali kali shuloka chi ngi datayen. Yemedra conquer. Okay, diso. Shok mik karonang. Oh, datayen. Tuchena. Kajin champong. True. Bechagare. Okay, Dixon. Ngonshu. Ngondu shu pa.
Ta woman was the you do Sojin de la Tomachi, Soji Janjus and Paleros. He just said, Yes, Meloda, Shanchus and Jesina Sijus. You do the Sojin needs to Sukangalo and Toba Sojil Tombares. You do Sojin de la Tomachi. Soji Janjus and Paleros. Soji to Jukala de Tomaresana, Shanchus and Paletombares.
Lesso.
To be Shanchus. Zonji Shanchu Samba Lesushi. He just said that Nizu Meluzna, Shanchu Sen Jesena Jo. He just said he just Chamboje, sent us the Shanchu Sen Jumon. Nizu Melo, don't need to be Shero. Those on the Shanchu Sen Jures.
Lesso.
Shanchu Samba on Duke Jumatu.
Lesso.
On Duke Jumatu, on Duke Jumatu.
Lesso.
Yeah.
Tuchena. So once again, we're looking at Chandrakirti's text called The Entrance to the Middle Way, which is a commentary on Nagarjuna's Mulya Madhyamika Karika, the root wisdom text. And we look at the first chapter, or the first bodhicitta, where Chandrakirti first pays homage to Manjushri, Kumara, tender, glorious, ever youthful, his root Lama. And then and as a translator's note, it is said that, okay, I'm sorry, I just got off track. So, homage to Kumara, tender, glorious, ever youthful. The Shravakas and those halfway to Buddhahood are born from the mighty sage, and Buddhas take their birth from the Bodhisattva heroes. Compassion, non-duality, the wish for Buddhahood for the other's sake are causes of the children of the conqueror. So here, in this first line, Chandrakirti is stating that the Shravakas and those halfway to Buddhahood, these are referring to the Prachika Buddhas, the solitary realizers, in English. Shravaka in English is hearers. So hearers and solitary realizers are born from the mighty sage. So here it's stating that the hearers and solitary realizers arise from the Buddha. So the causes of their position, if you will, the cause of their position is the Buddha. The mighty sage refers to the Buddha. It says, and Buddhas take their birth from bodhisattva heroes. So the Buddha's cause is the bodhisattva. So the bodhisattva stages and so forth are what lead to the Buddha's position, so to Buddhahood. And compassion, non-duality, the wish for Buddhahood for others' sake are the causes of the conqueror's children. So the conqueror's children, or children of the conqueror, here is referring to bodhisattvas. So it states that the bodhisattva, and then this here, it says compassion, non-duality, and the wish for Buddhahood for the other's sake. So here we're stating compassion. Non-duality is speaking of the wisdom realizing emptiness, and it says coupled with and the wish for Buddhahood for others' sake. But this is referring to only a bodhisattva of sharp capacity, because a normal bodhisattva, the bodhisattva of dull capacity, and as a translator's note, that's still a very high bodhisattva. It just means that they aren't in the category of bodhisattvas that have these very sharp faculties. So the bodhisattva of dull capacity does not have that wisdom realizing emptiness necessarily yet, in order for them to be a bodhisattva, because the generation of bodhicitta at the path of accumulation is what makes a being a bodhisattva, and it isn't qualified by any relationship with emptiness in that case. Here it's referring to those beings of sharp capacity which already have this understanding going into the generation of their bodhicitta. So that's what this is referring to. It's referring to a being of sharp capacity in this first paragraph in Chandrakirti's text. Digsung Rinpoche.
다사 세제 조바들 응어도 쇼바 서그레스
Lesso.
가르치는 응어도 쇼바스 라바이나 응어도 쇼바 냐자 센한테 두부 손지 쇼로 응어 쇼신 데덴 좀 되진 통화데 싫어 내본 거바 도반조로스 응어도 쇼바 사 조발 응어도 쇼바스 송급이 주생 가르스나 손지 쇼로 응어도 쇼바레스 손지 고본 도발 타녀보 인상 두부 손지 쇼로 응어 쇼신 데덴 좀 되진 통화데 네 세제 조비고서 네 더코나 용어선 통화데 싫어 내배 고바토 반조로스 토몬 고뉴 시투아요레 어디 돈을 그래서다 싫어 내배 고바토 반조로스
Then Gopa, the Goden Gare, the Maripa.
고바 생들 네마투조 까베 고된 아버지 도와요레 뒤지레 뒤마시마레 고den이나 따바임 처로
Lesso.
저는 뇌제 그 생각인데 맞추죠 까베 어디 지요래 뇌제지 어딜 고발라 그래 고바 토반조로스
The name Maripa, that's Ka. Maripa, Gopa. Tenzin. Yine Tenzin Kangayo Mari. Tenzin Rapa? Gare.
Tenzin Kurung Geji Tenzin Kagres.
Ale, so the Tenzin that they have at that stage has ceased. Okay, so we turn to chapter 6, because that's where we left off last class. This is the most difficult chapter by far of the text. So it begins with, on irreversibly advancing, the mind abides in evenness, proceeding irreversibly toward the qualities of perfect Buddhahood. Dependent co-arising in its truth lies open, manifest. The bodhisattva dwells in wisdom and achieves cessation. So here, the cessation that he or she is achieving isn't the complete cessation that we speak of in the Four Noble Truths as liberation or that final cessation. But there are various cessations that take place that are called cessation throughout the path. Cessation of coarse things, cessation of subtle things. So at this point, it's saying that the bodhisattva dwells in the wisdom that has, and the wisdom is the opposite of grasping at true establishment. So the bodhisattva dwells within the opposite of the ignorance that he or she previously had before that level. So the cessation that has been achieved is a cessation of what was coarse at that, not coarse, but what was able to be eradicated at that level. So it's whatever afflictions or whatever level of grasping at true establishment that he or she is able to achieve based on the level that they are at. So there are ignorance that have ceased, just not all of the ignorance have ceased. Only the ignorance is that he or she is able to, based on the level of irreversibly advancing, those things have ceased. So the things that were prior to irreversibly advancing, that were afflictions or graspings, are no longer there. They are still the graspings of that level, but they're ones of the one before that are ceased to exist and won't come back. So just as a translator's note, it's stages that are going up, if you will, if we're looking at it that way, to the goal of which is the last bodhisattva level, which is the line of demarcation between sentient being and Buddhahood. So it's climbing through these bodhisattva grounds, or going through these bodhisattva grounds, having the cessations that take place at each of those levels, ceasing what was a grasping at that previous level, ceasing that and moving forward and ceasing that to the point where there's a complete eradication of all of the graspings and those graspings imprints. Digsung Rinpoche, going me chi, that's Geshe.
Chetalmo tsukun dala to mede chiba chikin deba yudu treba tejin tenyan lu minyan tenlan jenyin ros. Men mi yoken chigi mi menpa tongcha mabo nukurung debi yul chitugurwa.
Less so.
Tena yin shiroji pashin la tenne pashin lama ngamba de mi menkan rabure wate swanji sal chitugures.
Less so.
Wate zundu mara.
A single man endowed with eyes can lead unseeing multitudes with ease to where they wish to go. And so it is with wisdom here. It takes the sightless virtues guiding them to victory. So it's just saying a single being endowed with eyes. Just as a translator's note, I always look to see if there is gender specific and if it's just the translation or if it's in the root text. And it just says a person. A single man endowed with eyes can lead unseeing multitudes with ease to where they wish to go. And so it is with here. It is with wisdom here. It takes the sightless virtues guiding them to victory. So here it's saying that if a being has eyes, he or she can lead many, many people who can't see here and there, because it only takes that one person who can see to know which way to go, and then he or she can lead many people wherever they need to go. Likewise, it is with a being who has the wisdom. It only takes that one being with the wisdom to explain what is necessary to get to liberation, what is necessary to do in order to be liberated from suffering. So it only takes that one being to be able to guide multitudes to that end. What is that end? That end is suffering, the end of suffering. So here it's comparing one with wisdom to one who has sight, and those who have ignorance to those who are blind, basically. Digsung Rinpoche.
Papa Lodu Junglu Le, Cheta Nebe Lojin Joba Shahas, Cheta Papa Lodu Junglu Le, Momo Lodu Junglu Le, Sumba Najin, Nama Song Yins, Southern Tanjawa Segre, Sumba Tanja in Summer, Southern Tanjawa, Southern Mashegi Yins, Cheta Nebe Lojin Joba Shah, Lodu Junglu, Sumba Najin, Sami Tentuma, Song Yins. Lodu Junglu Le, Cheta Nebi, Lojin Joba Shahas, Lodu Junglu Le Sumba Najin, Sadun to Masongi Yins, Sadun Tanjawa Segre.
That's so. So now the next part is the text goes through various stages, and here the next is the expression, the promise to compose, basically it's called. I think that's the category. The promise to compose. One who has grasped profound and ultimate reality through force of reasoning and by the light of Scripture was the noble Nagarjuna, and following his tradition, as this still exists, I will proceed to speak. So here is the promise to compose, promising that the composition will be in the tradition of Nagarjuna. So Chandrakirti will follow the reasoning and the basis of Nagarjuna's points. So he will follow this tradition. So it's a promise to compose in that way. Digsum, Danjawa.
That's also due to no, don't buy new to ne, not to Rodo Gawayan, Dayan, Rodo Gawalejon, Chimmy Melensin, Luigi Babadan, Joba Kanye, but tell Lazubi, Swanju, 7 years. That Tony Tensa Duja, the Kandej Gorisana, Tony Tan to be said, then Suzu San Gabo. Gawaya on the can. Road Gawali, Chimmy Milashi, and the Min Choma Boy again. What tell Tony Suzaki, Tony Suzaki heard what there is. Chimmy Milashi, Rodo Babadan, Joba Kanyaba, tell a Zubi Swajili, 7 years. The Indian want to be turned tela
Dilame.
kampi tunji demba shaas.
Jas. That
Toni
the
tembe nyorungu duja tendeji gogres.
certain simple, ordinary people, when they hear of emptiness, will feel a joy that leaps and surges in their hearts. Their eyes will fill with tears. The hairs upon their skin stand up. Such people are vessels for the teaching. They have the seed of wisdom, perfect Buddhahood. The final truth should be revealed to them, in whom ensuing qualities will come to birth. So here it's stating a type of person. It's not saying that, as a note, the only type of person that can be taught. It's saying that here are some signs of someone who is going to use this information in a way which will be able to quickly bring excellent qualities within them to fruition. Like here's a sign of the kind of person that could understand this material, and that is a proper, fertile vessel to receive this material. But just as a note, it's not saying only. It's saying that this type of person is really a fertile vessel. Certain simple, ordinary people, when they hear of emptiness, will feel a joy that leaps and surges in their hearts. So they feel this overwhelming connection and happiness when they hear of emptiness, to the point that their eyes fill with tears and hairs stand up on their skin. And this is unforced. You see, anyway, some people will read this and then it becomes forced. And this is an unforced activity that takes place that is uncontrolled by that person. Such people are vessels for the teaching. They have the seed of wisdom, perfect Buddhahood. So this is a sign that they previously had an introduction to these teachings, and therefore will be, it'll be easier for them to understand now. There'll be it says the final truth should be revealed to them, in whom ensuing qualities will come to birth. So their excellent qualities will quickly come about because of their previous connection to this emptiness and their previous wisdom. Digsung Rinpoche. I see.
다도 추진 야달랑네 내바주 추진 랑네 네 야부송 그래스 내바조로 근데 심바동 그래스 심바동 주신 희지 땜바시스 네 어디 희지 줄라 그래스 네 저바 공시 대 거왕 상주도
야보도
사저 거왕 간가로 네 상주도 공화제 그래스 거왕 상주도 로아 샤시르 용수 홍화시 두비 상주 선바 나라 그바 용그레스 어디 돈이 되면 흐르고 되자들 돈이 되나 네 여대 어디 존중그레스 어디 존인서.
Embracing perfect ethics, they will constantly abide therein and give with generosity, compassion, nurturing, will steep themselves in patience with their merits wholly pledged to Buddhahood, that they might bring all wanderers to freedom. Just give me one moment here, I'm sorry. Okay. Digsung Rinpoche. We're good.
자주 출라 케베주네 렌지 라두가 이산도반조로스 돈이 되면 되자들로 돈이 두스 되바이나 사지 자주 출라 케베주 제외네 렌지 라두가 이산도 사동버라두가 토반조레스 동버라두가 니바자마마 사주여로와 토반주 되네 또 냐유 란데 바제스 no landiye deni tele jomi jendale da kalashi ni gale jamai jume ban kalayus den oma tawa sherole dale mai jenle mi ni le mai jume mi mo ba kana ya Jawano Yomayis, or the Tajingubi, River the Leather,
Less so.
Tani Dylan Jomis, the Dali Jigmares,
Less so.
and Tani Dylan Jomis, the Chuno, Dijino Dali Majeres, Dali Jigmares, Jenle Jigmares, Rangatini to be Jenle, never Jen Jigmares, Dada Jenica Jigmares,
Less so.
Kalashi,
Less so.
Nika Legend Mai, Jume, Jumping someone, Jume Jigmares, Jume Jig Gala Yus.
Okay. They will venerate the perfect bodhisattvas and have mastery of ways profound and vast, attaining step by step the ground of perfect joy. All those who thus aspire should hearken to this path. So it's saying that this type of person, who is a proper vessel of the teaching, will be benefited very quickly by giving them this information. So if they have these signs of someone who has the seed of Buddhahood in them, the seed of the teachings really, because the seed of Buddhahood sounds like Buddha nature, but this seed of the teachings within them, it says that they'll step by step attain the perfect joy. Perfect joy is the first ground. So this is the ground when someone has a direct perception of emptiness. If they are Mahayanists, if they are on the Mahayana track, when they achieve the path of release, which is when you see emptiness directly, there are these stages, an uninterrupted path where there's a direct perception, where there is no eye, no ear, no nose, etc., where there is not any conceptuality. And then there's what's called the path of release, which is when you come back to ordinary appearances but know better. So once you achieve that state, you're at the first bodhisattva level, which is called perfect joy. So it's saying this type of being that has these qualities will quickly, step by step, achieve that first bodhisattva ground. He or she will directly see emptiness. So it's not speaking of someone who has before, it's saying someone who can and who has these qualities will, and when you teach them to them. They will achieve this when you teach this to them. And then it points out the thesis brought forth in the Mulya Madhyamika Karika. In Nagarjuna's root wisdom text, we see the point that says, things do not arise from self, other, or both, or causeless. Rinpoche, the Tsawa Sherab Lung, Yanjar Surun. Dene? Mopo Kansa. Yene the tama dame this shingudu yene the da mayen shemayen nika mayen da the jume dene dene kansak dene gari sungdu
dale mai jele me nile mai jume me
dene
mopo
kansa kana yang
chewa na yo mai
they don't gare
ne kana ya yu kana ya
yanjer
dale chewa la so yo mai mopo kana ya chewa na yo mai dale chewa la so na yo ma des yo ba mai.
Okay, so in the root wisdom text, I want to find the exact quote, and I will in a second, but in the root wisdom text it says that things do not arise from self, other, or both, nor are they causeless. So the reason that, I'm gonna find it, it's important. The reason that, 1129, the reason that this is put forth is to negate various schools. It's so funny, I purposely put the book back because we never use it, and it's the book that has the quote in it I didn't bring. So it's to negate various schools that came up at that time. So it says things do not arise from self. The Rinpoche, the Da Mayan, the Garikpong, the Jain Chemba. So the first things do not arise from self is to negate the view of the Samkhya school, which are the enumerators. Many of the yoga traditions follow the Samkhya school, and they believe that the cause and the effect are both there, that the result is contained within the cause at all times. It's there, that there's a flower in a seed already. So the Samkhya tradition believes that that things arise from themselves somehow. That they. So anyway, that's the view that's negated in the Samkhya tradition. The next is that they don't arise from other. Shenmayin Ranjupa. So almost all non-Buddhist schools believe that things arise from other. There's a God that creates it, or some other than self, something other than self. And even you find it within the Buddhist traditions, this idea of intrinsic existence. And you find it all the way up to the autonomy school even. So things do not arise from other, not only negates non-Buddhist schools, but also negates the Buddhist schools. We're getting there. So then something that arises, Nika, the Jain? Jain. So the Jain tradition believes that something arises from both. So the Naked Wanderers tradition believes in that. And then causeless, that things do not have a cause whatsoever, is referring to the nihilist school. The nihilist school believes there is no karma, there is no Four Noble Truths, there is no cause and effect. Things are random and don't have any specific causes. So that is to negate the nihilist school. So when you see these quotes are to negate various traditions during that time, whether they're Buddhist or non-Buddhist. 31, 32, 154. I'm surprised it hasn't. It's like the most famous. Okay. Then it digs Khensur Rinpoche. It's something like the grasping at this causes one to be an everlasting wanderer, or something that to degree, something of that effect. 177, 178. Well, I'll find it at some point. I just don't want to stop the teaching any further. Okay, Khensur Rinpoche.
Cheba Jubal Hayang, Chewa Maini, Jirin Hayang, Chewa Yonsu Tuba, Yunane, Yongula Sunaji, Chewan Daniel Manjushin, Saban Sita Tuba, Chewa Nitin Joros, and what the Dale Chewa Ina Telen Juna Yatenga Yomares, Jusen Karesana, Cheba Jubal Hayang, Chewa Riba Mainis, Chesadu de Anjabal Gobayo Marva. Ribaya Maini, Jizin Hayang, Nonsu Tuba, Junan, Jisimba de Jajibaina, Yongula Su Jawan Daniel Manjusins, and you would then Jeres, Toma Jatu Mares, Manjushin, Saban Seta Tuba, Jawan in Juros, Saban the Seta Tuba, Tomen Jawa, Tandares, Yedon Juro.
Okay. For if you think existent entities can once again arise, the growth of plants and other things could never happen in this world, and seeds would reproduce themselves until the end of time. For how could shoots arise to do away with them? The Dran Chemba Kagadue. Lesso.
Sabang Nalu, Nugu Yuares, Men and Shalom Ganaja Yuares, 어디 transition 달라데.
Less so. So
내 시요로 어떤 놀로 니부 뭐고 요아레스.
less so.
맨날 실로 다요 말레스. 어디 달레제스 어디래.
So this first point that's being made is a negation of the enumerator's view. The enumerator's view is that within a seed, there's already a sprout there. And within that sprout is already the plant itself. So the rice seed has the entire crop within it there. So that's the, according to the enumerators, that there are, the things have caused themselves have always caused themselves to occur. So it says, for if you think existent entities can once again arise, so if there is somehow that there is a cessation and a reoccurrence and like of seasons and so forth, of crops dying and then being reborn again. It's saying if you think that existent entities can once arise again, the growth of plants and other things could never happen in this world, and seeds would reproduce themselves until the end of time. And how could shoots arise to do away with them? So when a shoot arises, the seed is discarded, and then there's a shoot. And this system says, as a note, the Buddhist system says it's cause and effect that's happening here. It's not all contained within it. The potential is there, but the actual existence isn't there. So anyway, how could shoots arise to do away with them? So it's the beginning of the negation of this. It's a very long negation that'll take place usually. Digson.
다치바 주발하 저와리바 마이니 지진하야 저와 용수 두번 줘나네 녀골라수 나지 저완더니 먼저신 사변세도 두번도 저와 니도 줘로스
Where is he?
제생바던 야자 주발고 봐요 말서 그때 제바이나 지진하야 용수 두번 줘나네 제생바던 야자 제바이나 녀골라수 나지 저완더니 먼저신 녀골라수 먼저네 제바르스 도마자도 말레스 내년 먼저신 사변수다 세다 도바로도 사변데 사변 저와도 도마메바 타는 거래서 세다 도바로도 저와니도 줘로 제들더니 제네 나반 셰반조로 셰주 사변 타디 녀구 이다네 카도 들으네봐 타디 젤라 마반조스 오늘 어디 셰주나 사변 녀구도 제바시비 셰주 사변제 레 타디 녀구 이다나 이다 카도라서 네바 타데바 젤라메바 타완조로스 마반조로
Ditskorimche. Chukabiore. 40. Nepajuro Kaboyer. Jeju.
Jeju saben le tade nyogu idana.
Okay. Tuche.
Ta nyogu le ida khadu ta tro mobo yoro.
Lesso.
What do song that?
Lesso. A shoot that's different from the seed that causes it in shape and color, virtue, taste, and ripening could not exist if what you say is true. And if the former entity gives place to something else, indeed, what comes of their identity? So a shoot that's different from the seed that causes it, in shape and color, virtue, taste, and ripening, could not exist if it is what you say is true. It would have to be the same. And if the former entity gives place to something else, indeed, what comes of their entity. So we're seeing that the shoot itself is different in all contexts than the seed itself. There's a different material there that has occurred than the material that is in the seed. The potential for that material to occur is there within the seed, but the material itself is not in the seed. So the effect isn't in the seed, because then the seed itself could just produce it over and over again without needing water and sunlight, etc.
다 제주 사분 레 타데 여기 이던네 여기 이던네 카도 르니 헤바 타데 처럼에 번조로스 어디 여기로 이던 카도도 레번 라마나 몸부여로
Lesso.
그래서 매번 타는 그래서 매번 조그래서
So what happens to the identity of that which was its cause? Is that identity now, how did its identity go from being one thing to its identity having a different color, virtue, taste, and ripening? How could it do so within itself? What happened to its identity? If its identity is where is it now, basically? Nene?
다 게데 사분 녀군데 제 마이나스 네 사분데 녀고레 제바 마이나 균요레스 데제 마이나 균가르요레스나 사분 진도 녀고셰샤 나좀 매반조르스 근데 사분 진도 녀고셰샤 근데 내가 좀도 매봐 야나 대다 집에 네 제다 녀군데 진도 제다 녀군데 진도 대야 대양에서 연조로 대셔를 내는 케말란스 어디 가서 그래 녀군 나지 어디 녀군데 진 사면을 어디 나지 여봐데 켈랑 말레스 녀구도 사면 가가래 케말람 강아시 주지 나야 대인들 통일을 주시나 준가잖아요 레버 여바 통도 왔어 통일을 제가 준가 다들 레버 통도 왔어 대인소나 저단 레버 지인스 소라 그랬어 어디서 봐라 맞아 주지 나야 대인들 통일을 준가잖아요 레버 왔어 대인소나 저단 레버 지인스 소라 그랬어 레버 통일을 다다 집어 인시 지대 제장 네 바바 르인데 지대 바소라고 말했어 지대 제장 케멜레스
Lesso. If your seed's not different from the shoot we see before us, the shoot not different from the seed should likewise be invisible. Or if the two are really one, then the shoot and the seed should both be perceived. And thus your theory we cannot countenance. It's only when the cause is gone that products of this cause are seen. And thus no normal person thinks that cause and fruit are one. And the view that things are self-produced, when well examined, fails both in itself and in the light of everyday experience. So it's saying that even normal worldly people who don't look at philosophy would never think that the cause and the result were the exact same thing, that the seed and that a mango were the same exact thing, that they were of one substance, that there were one cause, because that's what happens when you say that it's self-caused. Then it has to produce itself, but it's producing something different. So it's saying where is it now? If it's it, where is it? And if things both in itself and in the light of everyday experience. Digson.
대신고 달에 용시로도 따반데 대니다네 지대도요 리바 마이노스 대니도 고나니도 줘봐 매바 마제 지대는 다니도요 되게 말했어 지대도 리바 마이노 달에 저완도나 제바 샤당 제제당 네 레나 셰보보야 지니 존나 다다네 지니 마이 베나 달레 저 케말란스 조던 저번 기바 마이 소소 달레 저 켈랑 마레스 샤미 자체 셰바냐 바 타죠 타와자 주저로스 샤미 자체 셰바냐 바 마모 용고레스
Lesso.
타와 주저로스
Lesso.
야
If things are self-produced, Begetter and begotten both are one. Identical also the maker and his work. And they are not the same. So self-production we reject. For the unwanted consequences we have lengthily explained. And as a note, there are so many other explanations that are given, such as if an ant will have 100 lifetimes as an elephant in his or her future, then are there 100 elephants standing on a blade of grass when there's an ant standing on it? And are you eating poop? That's another one they like. So anyway, is bread poop? That was it. Digsung Rinpoche. The Rinpoche ngi baleb japa yin.
Yeah. Jena tena kete jenshin juwan ju nan rang chenji ju jena tena rang tuni ju rebijen ju nan ona machele je maba to ju machi mamba tele maba je la gu je gres machele je maba to bo ju shin thajele je ju me thajele rebi me thaje jo tan gres thajele je thaje jowan ju de 유생 관계 싫어. 유생 가르스나 네 제바 셰바 마이 말루라 제니 통 제레 제바 임바
Ale nipa ka.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we move into so now the section on abandoning the idea that things are arisen from self is over. Now we move on to the negation that things are arisen from other. If something can arise from something other than itself, well then deep darkness can arise from tongues of flame, and anything could issue forth from anything. For non-producer like producer is another. So just as a note, if things that were not causally concordant could cause something to happen, then anything could cause anything. Diksan Rinpoche.
Radu shawan ba tisharin rebo ngajojin kanji teji neba tene yelan junila ne jujen to na jeba shele jeba tishir salu nyogo lasu tele tami shena
Dene? Nge inji kelo. De donagare. Shiloka chi lela.
Radu shawa nyoba tishir ne drebu ngajo jins ne drebu le juji shawa sheba yinsa ne judan drebu sin nga logo yuwares ngajo jin kanji teji nyoba tele jena ju yin la ne tele jeba yin na ku ju yin se logo jigres
Lasso.
juji tu dan jeba shele jeba tishir salu nyago laso le de cheta shena cheta mi shena cheta ne dan kasa dan kenshu kala so salu nyago jeba sheba de mi ne mi juji kunsu tu mi da mai ni de salu saben yana ti mi de yen shir judan reba to so jiba mare kagare son de sare.
Okay. What can be produced, you say, is for that reason called effect, and what has the power to generate through other is accounted cause. Things are continuities, you say, born from what gives rise to them, and rice plants cannot come from something alien like barley seeds. So causal concordance is necessary when we look at cause and effect and how it actually occurs. So Chandrakirti is basically saying to those who present that things arise from other, that you believe this, right? So he's just basically setting them up for the consequence to believing that things arise from other somehow if there's not concordance. Barley, lotus blossoms of the Kimshuka, you do not think of them as source of rice plants, and indeed they have no power to be. They share no likeness, are not members of the same continuum. Now rice seeds, being other, differ also from their shoots. Seed and shoot are not coincident, occurring at a symbol time. So how can seed be other in the absence of a correlate? And so it is not proved that shoots derive from seeds. The view that things derive from other than themselves should thus be spurned. Then
Nyugo saben dan dunyo yoba mayet. Nyugo do saben ni dunyo diyo marwa. Tambo nyugo dogore den nyugo tambo saben dogore den nyugo diyo marwa. Teni dunyo diyo mares. Nyugo saben dan dunyo yoba mayet.
Oh, leso.
Yeni member saben yeba ni do galan joros. Yen le jo meba ne saben yeba ni do saben de nyugo le yeba ni do galan joros. Jogo mares. Tena nyago saben leje roba jomebe nyago saben leje roba jomebe wadnlana nyago saben leje was jadu mares mebe yele jewa sheshe shode tawa jas rang chenji tu je yele raju ba me sheshe rang chenji tu je yele rang chenji tu je jewa je shode tawa jas tawa res
So this idea that things arise autonomously or separate, this idea that things arise from something other than themselves, some singular thing that is other than themselves, is not tenable, meaning not that they arise, meaning that when we say arise, inherently exist. So when we're speaking of arisal, we're speaking of inherent. We're not speaking of conventional dependent origination because things do arise from other. We're saying that things do not intrinsically exist because they arise from self-other union or causeless. So here we're negating that things inherently arise from other, So it's saying that the seed and the shoot aren't one instance. There is a seed, and the seed was caused by something, and then there is a shoot, and the shoot was caused by the seed, but also that continuum of seed caused the shoot. So the point here is that there's not a singular external seed only, because the seed it wasn't one incident taking place that came into being, Saimo. It was something that was cause and effect. That was a continuum. Digsung Rinpoche. Shen yi mi me.
La.
Natsu shen the.
Jele joa.
Shen yi me par. Sopun shen ba.
Jeni me ba sabun jemba ni do kalanjos.
Yeah.
Jele joa me ba sabun jemba ni do kalanjos. Sabun dan nyogo ni de jemba ni se jatu. Kaza jemba ni do kalanjoros.
Dene.
Jeni meba jele joa meba sabun jemba ni do kalanjo sabun den rebele jemba ni do kalanjo de jogo mares sabun den rebe jenro.
Shen le jewa yin sheja we.
Jele joa ni meba Jeni meba, jele joa meba, sabun jemba ni do kalanjos. Jele joa meba, ne sabun de nyugule jemba ni kalanjos jogo mares.
Leso. Ne.
Tenas.
Jitar.
Jitar.
Sangi.
Tenas. Tenarwa. Tena nyugu sabun joa. Jo mebe. Jele joa shi shu de tangwa je. Duje na jele je sa de kelan jo ma tanggu res.
Ne.
Bana jeta sangi. Dani towa dan ma wa ta. Dunya ma ba ne towa de jin do cheba shatan, jeje dane, jenga joshe na, kete, jese yina, nedu, jime, tewe mi, kete, jejin bade, jela shube, yoma yins, jejin bade, ne, jiwala ngon shubare, yoma res.
That's so.
jiwala, jejin bade, jela ngon shube, nyogu jejin bade duzo, nyogu yoma res. jiwala ngon shube duzo, nyogu yoma res. Yoma yin, yoma yin. Nga jinpa ne yue jang, jila shubande, nyogu nga jinpa sana, yue jang, jila shubanga jo, nyogu nga jinpa sama du, nyogu yua res, nyogu mepa chabala ngon shuba res. Nga jinpa ne yue jang, jila shuba dojo ba, tetsit dene, chetapa na santang, thongba yin. jiwan dene, shepu mepa, ribi ngongo me. Kete meki lola, rangi, jeje, jujiba, mela su tang. Sanchi yung yu dushe la su le, yeni yue na, yue ban ju, goba jeshi yue, yen le jiwa yina yancha jigo goba yu ma res. Jeshi yue, jete, teme je na, dala nyeba, she sen dos. Jizin bale, yancha jigo se na wate nyeba yu bata, kondu she saba res. She sen do.
Let's go. Shen Jepa. Okay, Dikso. Okay. What can be produced, you say, is for the reason called effect, and what has power to generate through other is accounted cause. Things are continuities. I'm going to read this. You say born from whatever, what gives rise to them, and rice plants cannot come from something alien like barley seeds. Barley, lotus, blossoms of kimshuka, you do not think of them as source of rice plants, and indeed they have no power to be. They share no likeness, and are not members of the same continuum. Now rice seeds, being other, differ also from their shoots. Seed and shoot are not coincident, occurring at a single time. So how can seed be other in the absence of a correlate? And so it is not proved that shoots derive from seeds. The view that things derive from other than themselves should thus be spurned. You say that like a crossbar of a weighing scales, the end of which go up and down cannot be seen as moving all at once. A thing that is produced arises as its cause subsides. Now this is true if a seed and shoot are synchronous, but they are not. For if a thing is being born, it tends to birth, it is not yet. For if a thing is being born, it tends to birth, it is not yet. And what is ceasing still exists, for it is tending to destruction. Now how can such a case be likened to a weighing scales? To speak about production when there's nothing that produces has no sense. If consciousness of sight arises at the same time as its stimuli, the eye, the object, and the simultaneous perception, it's other and already present. Why should it arise again? Because it does not now yet exist, you say. The faults of such a theory we've already shown. Diksung Rinpoche. Rinpoche, Truadan Lenja, Sanlogaribe. Okay, I think now maybe it's time for a question. Rinpoche, Sanlogaribe. Moi, Trigo. Okay, yeah, I think we're starting anyway. Yes. So maybe some folks have questions. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to take a second to... It's just under Nagarjuna. Oh, I could get... Any questions? Okay, yeah.
Seed were the it we have it. I think it was stated the seed doesn't come from the self, but I'm trying to think of the seed, the origin of the seed, of where the seed, the origin of it, is it comes from the emptiness.
We would say, Buddhism would say, the origin of the seed comes from a previous seed crop.
Okay.
That comes from a previous seed crop.
All right, and that seed, as it goes back, it goes back from one seed to the other seed.
Correct.
But the origin of the seed, of the first seed.
There is no origin. There is no first seed in Buddhism. There is no first seed. There is no origin. There is a previous concordant cause, of a previous concordant cause.
And is that emptiness?
The fact that that fact is it that it, yes, that fact is its emptiness. The fact that it comes from a previous means that dependently originates, and dependent origination is proof of emptiness.
And so emptiness is independently originated.
Emptiness is also dependently originated.
Oh,
emptiness is not an ultimate truth or an ultimate theory in the sense that it stops there. It's ultimate truth because it is the ultimate way of viewing reality, in that it means that everything dependently originates, therefore it is empty. But emptiness itself is empty.
So emptiness is then independently.
Emptiness is dependent.
Is dependent.
Yes. In order for you to say something's empty, there has to be something. So emptiness is dependent.
Well, I'm trying to get back to that which is not. There is beyond emptiness. Then
there is nothing beyond emptiness.
So
emptiness is the nature of reality.
Well, that which is independent. Then
why independent? Why this word independent? There's nothing in Buddhism that we say is independent. We say it is independence on something. It depends on something, but we never say independent. We don't use that word because everything is dependent. There's nothing independent in Buddhism. Everything is dependent on another thing. Nothing is independent. Independent means it doesn't need any kind of cause. It stands on its own.
Yeah,
there's nothing like that exists in the world according to Buddhism. Nothing. According to Buddhism, everything is empty. There is nothing that is independent. Emptiness and independence are mutually exclusive. Because when we say something's empty, it means that it's dependent. So if we said it's independent, that would be mutually exclusive. That would contradict emptiness. Does that make sense? Emptiness, all emptiness means is that, why is this paper empty? Why is this paper empty? Because it dependently originates. It has parts that come into being. So it means it's not just some paper that exists singularly.
Okay.
Its emptiness is that it has causes, and that it has a collection of things that come into being for us to name it paper. There isn't anything independent about this. It depends on a bunch of stuff to be a paper. Everything in the universe has that same quality, and that's called emptiness. Rinpoche, the tomba ni kong hakogumare, kong tsampa, tomba ni la dan drapodu, tomba ni the demba drupa yin, kong git tsampa, rawan the drupa, tomba ni rawan the drupa yin. Less so. Less so. So, all emptiness, Rinpoche is saying, all emptiness is that if we look at I, myself is not independent because there's a collection of aggregates and so forth that come into being, and then there's this basis that's then named Jeff. But there is no Jeff that's separate from that collection coming together. So that's Jeff's emptiness. Jeff is empty of being singular. Jeff is empty of being inherently existent because he dependently originates. So that's my Jeff's emptiness. The emptiness of the I is the fact that the I is empty of being inherently existent. The I is empty of not dependently originating. What's it empty of? Being it's inherently existent. The word emptiness is just saying it lacks it. It's empty of it. It doesn't have it. I could use this same thing. I could say it doesn't have inherent existence, and it would mean the same thing. Empty of means it's not there. A bucket's empty of water. It's not there. We are empty of inherent existence. Why? Our inherent existence isn't here. That's all the word emptiness is referring to in English. It's a lack of something. What is it a lack of? What's missing? What's it empty of? Empty of truly being, intrinsically being, truly established. It's not that. It's empty of that. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay. Cool. The indicate sansan kali kapudu. Gangin sena indicate tomba ni. And tomba ni that seek ken sapudu. Gangin sena ngatsu tomba ni geche the mepa dang drapudu. Then the tomba ni sampa the tomba ni demba drupa yen sampa. Yene the selpo lana the nge the gayu chu mena the chu tomba. Then ngatsu demba drupa mena demba drupa tomba. Then in kon gutsoso. I just told them how I explained it, like a pail of water, a vessel when it doesn't have water in it is empty of water. Likewise, our self is empty of intrinsic existence. So I was just explaining how I explain the English word. Yes?
Intrinsic awareness and the connection of that to emptiness.
There is no intrinsic awareness. So we'll start there. Intrinsic, there isn't such a thing because nothing is intrinsic according to Buddhism. So there is no intrinsic awareness. Now, the awareness that understands the lack of intrinsic existence is the wisdom that realizes emptiness. But the wisdom realizing emptiness is not intrinsic. Even when one is directly perceiving emptiness, at that moment, it's still dependent. It dependently originates. So there is no intrinsic awareness that exists. So maybe it's just the word we're stumbling on. Maybe you mean something else, but if we're using what our lexicon means, intrinsic means, intrinsic awareness would be something that we would negate in Buddhism. We would say there is no intrinsic awareness. Mm-hmm. Other schools believe in intrinsic awareness, that there's a quality of soul, that there's a quality of consciousness that is always there in a sense. That's like the Atman in Hinduism. Is the Atman is intrinsic awareness, I believe. Yes, but we don't have that. We have no intrinsic awareness.
What goes from lifetime to lifetime?
Consciousness.
Consciousness.
A previous moment's consciousness of a previous moment's consciousness. So we would say it's the I that goes, but the I is just the, it's the I that becomes the I in the bardo, that becomes the I in the, it's not the I, Jeff. It's the I that is considered, that is named on top of the things that are living in the intermediate state and then are living in the next life and then are living in the next life. So Buddhism just calls that the I, but it doesn't mean an intrinsic existent or an aware, any kind of I like that. It just names it as that because that's what it's going to end up being named in each of the stages. It's going to be, there's going to be the I that's an intermediate state being that's light, like that isn't solid, that can go through walls. And then there'll be the I that's born or the I that's in the womb. So the Buddhism says it's the I that goes life to life, but it's not an intrinsically existent I, because it's whatever the karma dependently or creates as an experience. The kong triwa the ngatsu sheba rawan the drupa nge sheba rawan the drupa yomare. Then the sheba gare ne nge sheba ngama sheba ngama sheba ngama sheba ngama sheba ngama sheba jemi sheba kabarne sheba ngami sheba.
Yes.
Then kon the jewa de the jewa the bardo then jewa shemo gare drogudu then nge nga drogudu nga bardo nga the jewa shemo nga.
What did you
The nga kabane ngami nga. Okay. Then the sheba lenja digurbe. The jewa shema jewa ngama gari dro sheba lenja. Okay, so you can say the I, but also saying consciousness is what goes from lifetime to lifetime. But it's not. It's a consciousness of causes and conditions. So it's not something that will always be this or that. It's not that Jeff now is in the bardo and he's taken on this feeling. There won't be any feeling of Jeff whatsoever. It'll be a feeling of this thing in the bardo in whatever relationship I will have to that. But it won't even be I will have to that. It won't even be the same experience. It won't even be the same feelings, the same pain. It's a totally different being altogether that has the same continuum. And the reason that we have so much cyclic existence is we think that this being is so important. When as soon as we die and move into the intermediate state, even our value system on what is happy and what is sad completely changes. Our feelings, our sensations, everything changes and becomes something completely foreign and new, as if you were born as a baby. Every time. So there is no there isn't any intrinsic anything. It's just cause and effect. And there's a bunch of bad stuff we have in this continuum, and it will keep causing bad things until it's all gone. And that's the point of Buddhism, is to get all the bad stuff out so there's no more of that to cause crap to happen. It's really, at a simple way, that's what Buddhism's about. It's removing all of these bad things that we've accumulated since beginningless time, and the thing's going to keep going no matter what. And which way do we want it to keep going? And we can guide it any way we want it to go, because we know the recipe. We know non-virtue causes happiness. Virtue causes happiness, and non-virtue causes suffering. So we just have to, we want happiness. So we have to figure out how to get rid of all the non-virtue, not create any more, and then we have happiness eternally, and that's what a Buddha has. Yes?
So continuing on this conversation.
Yes.
So after we die,
yes.
The mental consciousness. So, I'm not dead right now. I have, mental consciousness, and I have feelings. Say I feel afraid. And when I feel afraid, like I have certain body sensations. So say that I die, mental consciousness. Mental consciousness still feels afraid, or still feels sad, or still feels happy, yes?
But it wouldn't be the same relationship that you have to it. So happy
no
wouldn't
body.
even mean the same thing. Rinpoche, the kongi chua, the tanda ngatsu dungyal yuna ngatsu gapo mare, then dewa yuna ngatsu gapo du, then ngatsu tsorwa dewa gapo du, then ngatsu bardo drona de yurbe, then ngatsu dewa dang dungyal nicha yurbe. Dewa dang dungyal nicha. Then ngatsu dungyal drapodu yene kakare. Drapodu yene the tanda yene the tanda ngatsu the dungyal the chembo yuna ngewa dungyal ngatsu dungyal chunchun. Then the dungyal ken kaka the sorwa kaka yomarebe. Yeah, so yes, the being in the intermediate state, because you can't even say you anymore. So the being that then is in the intermediate state feels pleasure and feels pain, but their relationship, the way they feel pleasure and pain, isn't necessarily the same as the way that you do, Because, for instance, the highest amount of suffering that we can imagine and endure, even if we were burned alive in this realm, is like stubbing a toe for the amount of suffering that one can mentally endure in a hell realm. So even though it's the same kind of material experiencing, but the experience is a million times worse, feeling-wise.
In the hell realm.
In the hell realm. So because that exists, each realm and each being's relationship with pleasure and pain isn't necessarily comparable.
So
You know what I mean?
Yes, and it's not...
Because like the worst thing that we could possibly experience is compared to like the least amount of suffering we could possibly experience in the hell realm. So if you had the worst suffering you could experience in the hell realm, it would feel a million times worse than the worst possible suffering you could have here. But it's just because of the being itself and that being's karma.
But in the bardo, is it more subtle?
No, it's the same stuff.
But how do we experience it compared to here? Like you use
You're
the
just
example
in a
of the
light
hell
body.
realm.
You're the same. You're in a light body. You're in the intermediate state. You're terrified of the intermediate state at times. That's why you do so much practice about death process, because you become terrified of the things you're seeing. You then don't know what's going on. You're being thrust around. You see you can change types of beings that you are 7 times. So it's a terrifying process it can be a terrifying process. So I've heard it described mostly as that. But people who are realized and can meditate don't have a terrifying process. So it all depends upon the being. And yes, the Rinpoche, the bardo tsorwa dungyal yurube. Yeah, you have all feelings of pain in the bardo.
Why did you use the example of the hell realm in the
Because
answer
that's
to the question?
because that's the most suffering you can have. So it's just saying that a being can suffer more in a vessel than we can imagine.
But is that somehow related to the bardo experience?
I'm just saying the bardo experience, you could be a hell being.
Okay.
You could be in a hell being in waiting, or you could be a hungry ghost in waiting. So your experience wouldn't relate to yours necessarily, because you're a human experiencing the lightest amount of sufferings besides God's. Like the way we experience suffering is fluffy. The gods have the next, like, you know what I mean? Like it sounds terrible because we experience horrible things, right? And this is supposed to be like paradise. When we're suffering, it's paradise compared to lower realms. According to Buddhism, a dog walking around is suffering more than we are at our highest level because of all day not knowing anything that's going on and being confused, searching out food, wanting food, only getting the food when you give it the food. Like it's an enormous amount of suffering according to Buddhism. I'm only bringing that up because we can relate to it and we think, oh, dogs have a great life. So I'm just trying to explain the experiencer is maybe experiencing something different than we can relate to altogether. So the intermediate state being, do they feel like us? Yes, they feel, but do they feel like us? Not necessarily, because us is gone the minute we're dead. There's no us anymore. And the next relation to pain and suffering is whatever that being's karma throws at our continuum.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Thank you.
That it? Okay. I didn't find what I was looking for, but I'll find it in 5 seconds the minute that I'm not looking. So we'll do the concluding. Let me just see one thing here real quick. I just thought of something. Oh, well, that was a good thought. That would be there. All right. What do we everyone. Concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drakpa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well, with whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times. I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Suji Rimchi Gutsi Shapi Denonang.